Okay, so like Phil said, we are going to go over kind of an all-around guide to scholarships, going over a few different things of what that process entails. We're going to look for where to actually find those scholarships, finding the right ones to apply for, um, knowing what to submit, keeping track of all of those different materials. uh, Quickly touch on letters of recommendation, and then something very important for any seniors in attendance. We will be looking at local scholarships from each of our partner high schools, um, information coming directly from your counseling offices. And then we will have a scholarship walkthrough at the end. Um, Done by Aaron, just so you guys can kind of see what that looks like to use these scholarship platforms and see really how easy it actually is to fill out those applications. So first, where to actually look for those scholarships. There are a ton of different resources out there. There are different pros and cons to each one, but some sites that we recommend for those in Missouri, My Scholarship Central is a really, really great resource. That can be based on your location. Um, it could be for specific high schools, even, or lots of different things. It could be need-based or based on your academics, lots of different things. Another one is Community Foundation of the Ozarks. That one is particularly for Southern Missouri. So if that is where you are, for sure check out Community Foundation of the Ozarks. It's similar to My Scholarship Central, where there are a ton of sites, or sorry, a ton of scholarships housed in that one site, but it is more geographical. One that is open for all national scholarships or state-based is Scholarships 360. A lot of those sites allow you to apply different filters, and we'll go into that a little bit later, but it's really not that much work, and using sites like this takes a lot of work off of your shoulders. Makes it much more manageable, a little less intimidating, I think, because you're not having to sift through tons and tons of results looking at things that don't apply to you. But something really important to keep in mind is to always, always check with your school's counseling office. They may have information on local organizations that offer scholarships, or state-based or within your school district, or your conference even. There are a lot of different items students just don't know about because they don't know to ask. So check with your counselor, see what kind of scholarships are available if you aren't sure already. But take advantage of the resources that you have. It really doesn't have to be this huge ordeal to find scholarships. There are a ton of different tools out there to make it a little bit easier on you. Next, trying to find the right scholarships to apply for. Like I said, we don't really want to be sifting through all of these different scholarships that don't apply to you. If you are wanting to be a nursing major, scholarships that are geared towards those going into music education aren't relevant to you. So we want to look for scholarships that we can actually apply for, things that are relevant to our experience, but also things that we are meeting the requirements for. A lot of scholarships, if they are academic based, they will have a minimum GPA. And that could be anything. It could be a 2.0 or a 3.5 or anywhere in between or out of that range. So we want to make sure that we are looking at those kinds of requirements along with who they are geared towards, that target demographic. But it could also be based on your location. Like I said earlier, some scholarships are based on your geographic location, or even as specific as your individual high school. Um, Family income is another one that a lot of scholarships may ask for, that kind of information. Um, Not every scholarship is tied to your family income. Not all of them are need-based, but not all of them are merit-based. So each one has its own qualifications and eligibility rules. So it's important that you are taking your time in reading over that, but applying those filters, like on Scholarships 360 or even My Scholarship Central, that is going to save you a lot of time and a lot of work, and it'll help narrow your search. So you're not wasting your own time and effort, and you're not wasting the time and effort of the scholarship sponsors. Um, Something that is very important, we'll go over a little bit more later, but something to keep in mind is the Hagen Spring Scholarship. We'll go into that a little bit more, but I want you to keep that name in mind. Maybe do some Googling right now. Um, Hagen Scholarship is a really great opportunity, and there is a spring version. So if you weren't able to apply in the fall, you can still apply this semester if you are a senior. Really quick, I know we have some juniors in attendance tonight, so I did want to highlight some scholarship opportunities for juniors. It definitely is less common to find scholarships for juniors. They are predominantly for seniors, but they are out there. Um, they're fewer and far between, but sites like Scholarships 360 or FastWeb or Raise.me, those big kind of search engines for scholarships, um, those are typically where you can find some national ones that are open to underclassmen. You could also check with any organizations that you or your family members might be a part of. Some local organizations like Elks or something like that, they may offer some kind of scholarship for juniors, or if you are in Scouts of America or anything like that, check and see if you already have these opportunities in front of you and take advantage of it if you can. The last one that I really want to highlight, this one is huge, the Horatio Alger National Scholarship. This is something that is available every single year to juniors, and this particular scholarship is only for juniors. It is worth $25,000 and it is open to many, many students. The qualifications and eligibility rules are not very strict. So it's open to all different kinds of majors. There is a cap for family income, but it's relatively high. So this is open for a lot of students, and it is very, very high value. And this is one that students actually get, and students in the Midwest actually get, or even in Missouri. I've known multiple students who have received that scholarship, and that is their entire year of school, just about. And that can be renewed. There are other scholarships available, one specifically for Missouri students and then another for Illinois students. And there are multiple of these, by the way. It's not just one person who gets that one scholarship. There are multiple winners. So you can have a really decent shot at getting that scholarship. But those state scholarships are worth $10,000, and there are at least 9 winners. So, pretty good odds. Um, and again, the Horatio Alger one can be renewable. So that can be for all 4 years that you are in college. It's really important when you are applying for these scholarships to know what you actually need to submit. Most times it is not just the scholarship application and then you're done. There are other pieces that go into it. And if your application isn't complete, if it doesn't have all of those different required materials, your application will not be read. So, very important to keep track of what is required of you to submit. So, have some kind of checklist, read through each scholarship's instructions. You may need to have your official transcript, and it needs to be most recent. So, if possible, it needs to have your fall semester grades if you're a senior this year. And your official transcript has to come from your school. So you do not have access to your official transcript, but you can get that very easily by talking to your counselor. You may also need your resume or an activities list, which they are a little bit different, but for all intents and purposes in this context, they're pretty much the same. Um, Scholarship donors often want to know what kind of activities you're involved in outside of school, if you have a part-time job, if you have any family responsibilities, if you have younger siblings you take care of, or maybe grandparents, anything like that can be included and highlighted on a resume or an activities list. It doesn't just have to be that you are a member of this club at school or you play this sport. There are a lot of different things that you can include and things that highlight different parts of your personality that come together to show who you are as a person. You may also need an essay or a personal statement. A lot of times, essays tend to use roughly the same prompt or a few similar prompts. So you do not need to feel like you have to write a brand new essay each time. You can rework a personal statement a million different ways. You can use things that you may have written in an English class or something like that. You don't have to start from scratch every time. Do not submit the exact same thing every time. We don't want to do that, but you don't have to start from scratch every time. We want to work smarter, but not harder. The last thing that you may need to submit for a scholarship application is your official ACT scores. That one kind of throws people off. They don't know how to get that information, but it's actually really easy. Just go to the ACT website. So you can go to my.act.org and you will log in. If you took your ACT at your high school, your counselor may have login information for you, but you'll be able to access that information and download a PDF of all of your official scores. If you've taken it multiple times, submit your highest score. Your high school might also include your ACT scores on your transcript. So that is something to ask about to your counselor so that you aren't having to track down ACT scores if they're already going to be submitted on your transcript. Again, we want to work smarter, but not harder. So we want to keep track of everything that's required. If you need to do some kind of spreadsheet, that is going to be really, really helpful, especially if you are someone who has a hard time with details. Um, but talk to your counselors, they can help you. We can help you, your STARS advisors. Another thing that you may have to submit letters of recommendation. Your letters of recommendation are basically a character reference. It doesn't need to be this super crazy letter saying that you rescued this person's cat from a tree. It doesn't have to be anything life-changing necessarily, but you want to ask someone who actually knows you well enough to highlight the things about your personality and your character that are positive and noteworthy. Ideally, they will have known you for at least a year, but Typically, we want to shoot for about 2 years. So this could be a teacher that you have had for multiple classes, a coach, or faculty sponsor for a club, something like that, or your counselor is a really good person to ask, or even a boss or supervisor at your part-time job, as long as that is not a relative. Do not use a relative or a friend. If your dad is your boss, that's great, but do not have him write you a letter of recommendation. We do not want anyone that is too close to the source, I guess you could say. They're going to be pretty biased, which is nice. We want the people close to us to say good things about us, but we do need more of an outside perspective in this case. So letters of recommendation, you may need to submit just one for a scholarship application, or a lot of times it will be two of them. They can both be teachers. Sometimes they could be one teacher, one coach, any kind of combination of those things. Just make sure you're reading those instructions and reading the requirements. It might specify that you need a letter of recommendation from a STEM teacher or someone in the field that you are interested in. It could be really anything, but they will specifically tell you if they have some kind of um, requirement for who is writing that letter of recommendation. But most of the time, they don't. It's really not too bad. If you have not asked anyone for a letter of recommendation and you are a senior, you need to be doing that right now. Give them enough time to write the letter. You don't want them to use a copy and pasted form that they send out for every single student. So ideally, we want to give them minimum, at very, very minimum, if you're really crunched for time, 2 weeks. But ideally, at least a month. Um, you don't want to put the pressure on them. They have a lot of things going on, and you don't want to have that pressure on yourself either. Okay, next, we are going to go into our local scholarships, which again, this is primarily for seniors, this information, but juniors, this is good to know for next year. And then we also will go in over the Hagen Scholarship, which is a national scholarship. For those local ones, though, a lot of times community groups or even local businesses will offer scholarships to specifically your school or your area or your county, maybe. It could be for just about anything, open to any students, but these are going to be a lot less competitive than those national scholarships because the applicant pool is going to be so much smaller rather than competing with 500 students across the country, it might only be 15 students. So those are much better odds. We definitely want to focus more of our effort and intention with those local scholarships over the national. Those ones are typically funded by people who are involved in your community. Maybe they've even watched you grow up since you were in kindergarten. They want to see you do well. They want to see you go on to your next step. And this is a way for them to support you in that endeavor. And then the Hagen Scholarship, really quickly, that is both need and merit based. So it does take into account your academics. It does not have an ACT requirement, but it does have a GPA requirement. And then there is a cap on your family income, and we'll go over that in a second. But a good thing to note, it is renewable for 4 years. So you can have that scholarship every year that you're in college. Okay, so on this screen and the next one, these are all of our partner schools. I won't go over each one individually, but each school has their own system for those local scholarships. So some of them have a bit.ly link at the bottom. You can go ahead and take a screenshot or picture of it and go to that link later. Hopefully, you already have access to that link, but in case you happen to miss it, here it is. Each school has their own method, their own system. You might submit things to Google Classroom, or you might have to print off the applications and turn them into the counseling office. It just depends on your school. So we have 6 here, and then we have the last 5 here. Um, So again, talk to your counselors. They are the ones who coordinate these most of the time, or your college advisor at your school. Um, they are the ones with all of the knowledge. And they are working really hard to get these scholarships out to you guys. So we want to take advantage of that. It's free money. They are just trying to give their money away. And there's no point in not putting your name out there. Um, it's really easy to have sort of a defeatist attitude and say, well, I'm probably not going to get it anyway. But you'll definitely not get it if you don't apply. So we want to at least give ourselves a shot at getting these scholarships. If you aren't sure about maybe your essay that you're writing for a scholarship, or you're not sure who to ask for a letter of recommendation, anything like that, you can always talk to your STARS advisor and we can read over those essays for you. We can maybe brainstorm some people to ask, and you can always talk to your counselors. You have plenty of people there to help you, but scholarships are definitely not the thing to procrastinate on, which I know is easy to say, but scholarships aren't the most exciting thing in the world. And if you put it off until the last minute and then have 2 hours to fill out 30 applications, you're not going to have a good time. You're probably going to get burnt out before you actually finish the applications, or you're turning in applications that aren't complete, or you're missing documents, or you are uploading it to the wrong place. So many different things. We don't want that. Again, this is free money. It's just sitting there on the table for you to take it. You just have to let them know. You have to give yourself the opportunity. And I know easier said than done getting all these applications done, but start early. If your applications are just opening up, start on them now. Don't wait until a day or 2 days before the deadline. And talk to your counselors, see if there will be any more opening up. Some of these schools specifically say that they will have more, but you can always talk to your counselor and see if they know of any other opportunities in your area. I believe, oh, sorry, last one. The National Scholarship. This is our Hagen Scholarship. Applications are open right now. They are due March 15th. That is just over a month away. They do have a few different stipulations and eligibility requirements for this scholarship, because it is such a high value scholarship. But it can be up to, I believe, almost $8,000 per semester. And again, this is for all 4 years that you're in college. It's for 8 semesters. So that's a lot of money. You do have to have at least a 3.5 unweighted GPA. And it does have to be used at eligible institutions. The list is really long, so don't automatically assume if you're going to a private school, for instance, that that school won't be on the list. It very well could be. Just go to this link on the screen and go through the list of eligible schools. And do keep in mind there are um, requirements for you to keep receiving the scholarship. You have to maintain a 3.25 college GPA. So when you're actually in college, you do have to keep your grades up. And there are a few other stipulations, um, but this is an amazing opportunity that honestly not nearly enough students take advantage of. So they have a timeline in the spring if you missed it in the fall where you're still able to apply. Um, Seniors, I highly encourage you to apply, at least look into it. In juniors, you can apply next fall. So keep this name in mind, Hagen Scholarship, and next year or next school year, when you're a senior, we can get that application done in the fall, and you can have a good majority of your school paid for. Okay, so that is it for my slides. But next, we will have Aaron go through a scholarship walkthrough with us.
Hello, sorry about that. It was just taking a moment for my camera to turn on there. Thank you, Ellie, for going over so many things and for educating students about what scholarships are, what they mean, essentially kind of how we want to navigate that and where we could see some additional support in terms of financial aid when moving into the college atmosphere. I do want to piggyback off of what Ellie said earlier about reaching out to your root ed counselors specifically or counselors at your local high schools. I've had multiple root ed partners, as well as from my own personal experience, indicate to me that they've had scholarships that have gone unused in prior years just because there's been nobody that has applied for them. From my own example, I applied to many scholarships when I was exiting high school into college, and I received a lot of them just based off of the fact that I was like one of three people who completed the scholarship to begin with. So there's a lot of variability there. It does happen every year. So I would more than likely just encourage you to apply to everything. Mostly, I think high schools now do them on a monthly basis. So what they will do is they'll release to you local scholarships that are like deadline is in this month, or they're opening to apply currently in this month. I believe like they'll open up February's and it'll be like, now these scholarships are open for you to apply to them. Um, Reach out, start doing the process, start getting all the materials you need, so you can start applying to those. But I'm here to talk about what kind of walkthrough or kind of what the system may look like on your end when it comes to applying for scholarships online versus in person. Because a lot of the times now, scholarships are done primarily online and they're not done through like physical means. So even if you indicate your interest in person, they'll still tell you to go and apply online. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and show you one of the main pages we talked about in this presentation, which is My Scholarship Central. My Scholarship Central is a Missouri-based scholarship website. Generally, what I mean by Missouri-based is that it's provided by MOCAN. So MOCAN is the Missouri College and Career Attainment Network. So it's centered around Missouri scholarships for Missouri students, very focused on the state, very focused on the community, building up those students, kind of garnering that base and support to keep students engaged and financially secure as they go into the college atmosphere. But My Scholarship Central, I think, is one of the better ones specifically for Missouri Stars students, because it provides a lot of support as well as indication of where we need to start, how you're going to apply, and kind of breaks it down for you in terms of if you've completed your FAFSA yet. FAFSA is the Federal Aid Financial Student Aid Service. I just butchered that, but
Free
essentially
application for
it's
federal student aid.
thank you, Phil. I just completely had a brain fart there. Um, But basically, it breaks it down for you in terms of what you need, what the indications are for you in terms of requirements for certain scholarships, as well as showcases regional scholarships as well. You can apply to multiple, even hundreds of scholarships in one location, should you so choose. Um, but it provides a lot of information based on where you live. Because in Missouri, specifically for my College Central, they tend to break it up into regional applications. So you'll see in here, you'll see your county listed in here somewhere, and they tend to break it up into that, as well as statewide, as well as merit-wide, need-based wide, that kind of thing. But it kind of gives you a more variety based on your local principalities, high schools, things that Ellie went over prior. So when we come up here into my College Central, you'll be like, where do you start? When you click start here, it's going to tell you you need to apply for the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. That's exactly what it's going to tell you to do first. Specifically, this is more so for seniors. Juniors won't need to really do this until next year. But this is a critical step when it comes time to starting the scholarship process. So make sure to get that completed as soon as possible. That will identify things like your Pell Grants, your loans, work studies if you're looking to do some of those as well, which work studies we can talk about later, or you can consult your STARS your STARS advisor, and we can definitely help you and assist you with that process as well. But in terms of doing like a baseline application for one of these websites, it's pretty straightforward. It's a lot of inputting information. As an example for this website, you'll click apply now. Generally, it's going to make you create an account. It's going to make you fill in a bunch of information. Um, but in terms of that, I can kind of show you real quick. Sure. One second. Soon as it goes through. Oh, well, that's fine. Basically, what it's going to look like to you, which I can kind of show you on another website because I have about hundreds of these pulled up at this point. This is going to be my Scholarship 360 as soon as I get to the profile. Oh, my profile. So what all these websites are going to kind of do is they're going to build out a like platform in terms of what type of person you are, if you're a student, if you're an educator, if you're a scholarship provider. It's going to ask you for a bunch of information. This is a test account as an example, so none of this information is going to be applicable to you particularly, but it's to kind of showcase what these things are going to look for and what questions they're going to ask. They're going to ask you for your birthday, what education level you're at currently, what high school you go to, because generally they'll narrow it down into local principalities by your county, or if there's local community scholarships, whether that's through like Lions Club, FFA, Future Farmers of America, things like that. They'll ask you for your high school GPA, if you have any degrees or certifications, when your estimated graduation date is, what your education plans are. Like, are you planning to go to a community college, a four-year college, a trade school? Something of that nature, and also kind of a prospective enrollment date, kind of where you're interested in attending to see if any of these scholarships apply to these colleges in particular, or to the fields of interest within that college itself. It'll ask you like citizenship status, like academic interests. Sometimes it may go into further like with religious interests and ethnicities, because sometimes scholarships will be faith-based. You'll have scholarships pop up that will be specifically for followers of a specific faith. Sometimes it may be ethnicity linked, it may be organizational, it may be ancestry. It could be a variety of different things, you guys. These these applications are very long. They do take some time to fill out, but once you fill them out, what happens in this case is that it will provide you like a list of scholarships that fit into your profile. So it will auto-populate these things. As an example, with My Scholarship 360, it basically will just provide a bunch of example scholarships, as well as provide like deadlines, what the award amounts could be. As an example, I'll click on the Davidson Institute Fellowship Scholarship. Um, it will provide some information. It'll tell you if you're eligible or not. In any case, it may provide why you are eligible or why you're not eligible. My account was very baseline, so I didn't provide it a ton of additional information. So you may see this pop up more than you would on your end. But if there's like you have specific interest in like STEM fields or music or art and things like that, where these scholarships may be more tied towards a certain area, where in this case, it's very broad. Some other scholarships will be very, very narrow. Um, It'll also provide kind of what you need to do, essay, like Ellie went over earlier, 2 letters of recommendation. Generally, with scholarships, especially national scholarships, they will always ask for letters of recommendation. That tends to happen too more now locally as well, but especially for the national ones, they'll definitely want these letters of recommendation for you guys. So seniors and juniors, be thinking about that, especially moving into doing college admissions as well. Colleges now oftentimes still do require letters of rec as well. So keep that in mind. Be thinking about that as you move forward. Scholarship 360 kind of has 2 different types of applications, ones that are based in-site and then ones that are based off-site. So if I click apply, um, it's going to take me directly to that scholarship's website, as well as kind of what the deadline is, what the submission process is like, and it goes through all the details for you. It'll break it down step by step. It'll tell you kind of what you need to do, what's required of you, that kind of thing. The nice thing about this website, which Ellie always recommends to students, as well as one that I have found to be very helpful, is that it also has a type of system that allows you to also quick apply. It's kind of like a little bit like Indeed, if you think about it in that way, where you have quick applies where it's all based on the website. So you'll scroll down, you'll see the eligibility, you'll see the criteria for it. You're a US citizen, you're a high school junior. Um, It'll say, here is the prompt. We need you to respond to this prompt in 100 words. That would be the application. And then after you submit, well, after that, you would just submit the application and it would be submitted to your profile indicating that you've completed that scholarship, meaning that it's in process to be reviewed and to see if you're going to be one of the students that receives it or not. Okay. Scholarships are kind of varied nowadays. I will say the national ones can be very intensive. They require a lot of work, just because you're up against a lot of students who come from either similar backgrounds, or also have very similar interests to you. So they can be pretty and tedious to get through, but that's what we are here for as STARS counselors. We're here to assist you. We're here to help you, to guide you, to provide additional support, to provide recommendations to kind of get you the scholarships that you're really gunning for. You can also be looking at specific colleges. If you have specific colleges in mind, take a look at their website, take a look at their own specific scholarships, take a look at their presidential scholarships, their academic scholarships, their merit-based. If you've had family that's gone there before, it tends to be that they do offer like family scholarships, like if your parents went there or if you have a family member that's gone there. I have attended a college where they offered a familial scholarship like that. Sometimes they do offer scholarships for working on campus. I also attended a work study college where we worked as well as received a scholarship for working there. So there's a lot of variety. There's a lot of options. What we're here to do is to kind of bridge that gap between the scariness of what scholarships can mean for students as well as what it all entails. Um, we're here to support you. We're here to guide you. We're here to provide suggestions as well. If you're involved in local events, communities, if you volunteer a lot, there may be scholarships linked to those certain things, and we can definitely help you and assist you in finding those. But like I said, we are often working in conjuncture with your root ed advisor. They're very tied down to your high school and your local principality, so please communicate with them, reach out to them. They have a ton of scholarship resources for you guys. So take advantage of it. Utilize your resources. We can definitely do the most that we can to assist you, but that's pretty much an overview of kind of what the college website process will look like once we get started.
Thank you so much for that overview, Aaron. And thank you to everybody for attending and taking a look at this. I think the bottom line that we want to emphasize is that for scholarships, there are a lot of resources out there. There are tons and tons of scholarships, many of which do not get claimed because no one applies. You have very good odds, especially for your local scholarships. And the more that you put into this search process, the more that you fill out profiles, the more details that you give, the more you will be targeted to scholarships that you are uniquely qualified for, which will increase your chances of getting them. If this feels overwhelming, that is normal and there is help available and it's us. Please reach out to your advisor, schedule with us online, shoot us an email, say, I don't know where to start, or I'm confused about applying to this scholarship. Whether you are a junior or a senior right now, if you want to schedule a session where we're just going to go through and look for scholarships applicable to you, that is a great use of time. We are happy to do that with you. Please, please, please reach out and we will help you navigate this process. I do want to answer and bring up a couple of questions that are being raised in the Q&A. So thank you for those who asked them. We had one person ask, would it be a good idea to create a separate email just for applying to scholarships? I think that's an excellent idea. One reason is that if you start signing up for scholarship websites, they're going to start advertising to you. They'll send you new scholarships that are open. They'll give you updates. That can be a lot of email. Sometimes it's nice to have a fully separate email for all college things and just give that out whenever you're applying to colleges, whenever you're doing anything college related, put it on your testing so that that's all in one place and it's really clear, not getting lost in your other email. But if you make another email, please remember to check it regularly so that you're not missing anything. Another question, are these scholarship platforms free? Yes, everything that we have shown you is free. And if you run across a scholarship website that wants to charge you money, do not use it. It is a scam. It is probably trying to get your information, and it is definitely trying to get your money. These are platforms that should be paying money to you to help you go to college. You should not be paying them under any circumstances. So do not go anywhere that is charging you money. Also had a question. We've got some good friends from Illinois. Thank you for being here tonight. Who are asking if there's a scholarship platform like the MOCAN one for Illinois students. The My Scholarship Central platform does have some scholarships for Illinois students, so that is a place that you can still take a look. And then I would also recommend some of the other scholarship websites that we have shown. It varies a little bit by state who has the different platforms and who puts these things out. But a lot of the platforms that we've shown off tonight, you can filter by state to see what's available specifically in your state. You can do that on Scholarships 360. You can do that on scholarships.com. There are a wide range of really, really great websites. And if you want some help finding those sites, please let us know. We are very, very happy to go through that with you. Ellie also just pointed out that Illinois has the ISAC website, which has some great scholarships specifically for Illinois students. We're happy to help you navigate that. I see another question coming up. Great question. Will some colleges give you a computer or will you have to buy one? That varies tremendously by college. We all work at WashU and we're very proud of WashU, that we're here representing the STARS Network tonight. And so I'll shout out WashU as a place that has a technology startup grant for students, where if you have any amount of financial need, they will provide you with money to buy a computer through the WashU bookstore. And that's not totally uncommon. Depending on the college that you're going to, colleges may provide you one. However, a lot of colleges will not. So this might be something that you budget for. And this is something that I want to emphasize about independent scholarships. When you get a scholarship from a college, it generally goes directly to your tuition and room and board. But if I get a local scholarship from Redbud High School, Redbud Community, for example, that goes to my pocket as a check most of the time, which means it doesn't have to go to room and board. It doesn't have to go to tuition. If I get a $1,000 scholarship, I can spend that $1,000 on dorm supplies. I can spend that $1,000 on a laptop for school. That's one of the great things about independent scholarships is they're very flexible. You can spend it on anything you need for your education. So good question about that. Check with individual colleges for their policies and then apply for some scholarships to fill any gaps in the things that you need to take to college. Great question here. What is the difference between merit-based and need-based scholarships? A need-based scholarship is based on your family's financial need. And this generally means you have to fill out that FAFSA, that free application for federal student aid, because that is the form that determines whether the government and colleges believe your family has financial need to be able to attend that college. Generally, that means there's a certain income cutoff, but there's also if you have siblings in college, that plays a role. If you have medical expenses that are different from your income, that may play a role, special circumstances. And once the government and the college determines whether you have financial need, that will determine whether you're eligible for need-based scholarships. Merit-based scholarships are based on things that you do rather than financial need that you have. So a merit-based scholarship could be based on your GPA and ACT score. That's a very common one for colleges especially. It could be based on a sport that you play. All sports and athletic scholarships are merit-based. It could be based on performing arts. You could get a scholarship for singing or for acting. It could be based on writing an essay. Anytime that a scholarship asks you to write about something, that is a merit-based scholarship. They are asking for you to give your insight and your input on that. So a need-based scholarship is determined by your family's financial status, and a merit-based scholarship is determined by the work that you have done in high school or in community service or in hobbies and interests that you have. Another question here. If I am graduating high school with an associate's degree, will these scholarships still be available to me as I will technically be a transfer junior college student rather than an incoming college freshman? Great question. It depends on the scholarship. Some of these scholarships, if you go in fully as a transfer, you're skipping a year or two of college, you may not be eligible for first year scholarships, but there are transfer specific scholarships that you may be eligible for instead. So that is something to check individual scholarships for. And it's also something to check with colleges for. Because some colleges are going to let you come in as a transfer if you have your high school associates, and some are not. If you're applying to a lot of state schools, you probably can do this. If you're applying to some more selective high schools, your Wash U, your U Chicago, you are not going to come in as a transfer even if you've done 2 years, even if you've got your associates. You are not going to shave off time. You might get some credit, but you are not going to shave off 2 years. So check with colleges on their individual policies and check with scholarships on their individual policies to know that for sure. And if you have any trouble with that, reach out to us and we will help you figure it out. I also see a question here. What happens when you win or get the scholarship? That's an excellent question. When you get a scholarship from a college or university, what will happen is you will get a financial aid award letter. And that award letter comes to you usually around March, sometimes a little bit earlier, and it lays out everything the college is giving you versus what they're charging you. So you can see what kind of the net cost that you're going to get is. Ideally, a lot of it will be covered by the college. But you'll kind of see that and you can compare those letters. If you're getting a private scholarship, that varies a little bit and exactly how that happens. Some private scholarships will send the money, they'll ask you what college you're attending, and they'll send the money directly to that college. But what I've found is more common is they will ask you for some information, or they may already have your information about where you go to school and what your home address is, and they'll mail you a check. I got mailed a check for National Merit when I was applying to college. So it's very, very common that they will just mail you that check, and then you are able to spend that check at your discretion to do whatever you need to do in order to get to college, whether that is paying tuition or buying the supplies that you need. Great question here. Are scholarships taxed, or is all of the money given straight to you or your university? In general, scholarships are not going to be taxable income, but sometimes they can be. This depends a lot on whether the student works and whether the student has other taxable income. If you're getting financial aid direct from a university, like you're attending WashU and they give you a $40,000 merit scholarship, that is not taxable income. The university is handling that entirely on their end. They're just carving that off the cost for you effectively. If you get scholarships that are direct to you, that are coming to you as a check, that can be taxable income. Usually, you are not getting such a huge private scholarship that it is going to tip you into paying taxes territory unless you're already working a job where you have to pay taxes. So if I am not working or I'm earning a couple $1,000s from a summer job and I get $1,000 or $2,000 or even $5,000 scholarship, I probably won't have to pay taxes on it. But if you are working full year round and you get a substantial scholarship, $2,000 or $5,000, that might have to be reported on your taxes. If you have questions about that, please reach out to us and we'll help you navigate it. Any other questions before we go ahead and jump off for tonight? Some great questions there. Okay. Well, if you think of any, We are available for exactly this stuff. Please reach out to us. Please schedule with us. Please shoot us an email. If you have any questions about that, talk to your counselors, talk to us. We are here to help you navigate this stuff. Even if it's I want to apply for scholarships, I'm confused and overwhelmed where to start. We will book a 30-minute to an hour session and we will go through it with you in full detail. That is what we're here to do. We are happy to do it.